Joining me now on set is Republican presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy.
Joining us now is Vivek Ramaswamy. Thank you so much for being with us.
When do you sleep?
It's good to see you guys. You know, I try to find about 6 hours a night.
A lot of Republican presidential hopefuls are happy with today's decision, including Vivek Ramaswamy, who joins us now in studio. Thank you so much for your time tonight.
And just back from Iowa and joining us now is the youngest candidate in the Republican primary field, former biotech entrepreneur, multimillionaire and political newcomer Vivek Ramaswamy. Welcome to This Week. It's great to have you here.
Vivek Ramaswamy seemingly has come out of nowhere and launched a campaign to potentially be the president of the United States. So that begs the question, whoa. Easy, my friend. Before America even thinks about putting you in the big chair, who is this guy? Who exactly is this guy? Vivek Ramaswamy just turned 38 on August 9th. He was born in 1985. He's a second-generation immigrant of Indian descent. Well, what kind of Indian? India is a country of 1 billion-plus people, and despite common perceptions, India has more people than China. So there are a lot of types of Indian people. Well, India was, for 3,000 years, organized around a caste system. Basically, it's the most anti-American system that can be imagined, as it's based on the idea that a person is born into a socioeconomic status, and that is their station for life. There are 5 castes: Brahmin or priests, Kshitras or rulers, Vaishyas or merchants, Sudras or laborers, and Dalits or untouchables. They are respected and given societal privileges in that order. It's basically an Indian feudal system that bestows major privileges upon those of higher castes and oppresses those of lower castes. These castes have been in effect for 3,000 years and have evolved to subcastes that designate your specific job. Imagine having your job chosen for you at birth. Well, that's the caste system. And while the caste system was outlawed by the Indian Constitution in 1949, you can imagine that something that has been in place since 1000 BC is deeply ingrained in society. So much so that intercaste marriage is still uncommon, and even people's last names often designate the caste they belong to. To put it plainly, it's racism and bigotry that's been ingrained in every aspect of society for thousands of years. Vivek's family has been a huge beneficiary of it. As a Brahmin, his family was given land by the state and also given money by the state in order to support members of that community. It's basically affirmative action for the most powerful in India. His parents used that as a launch pad, gained fantastic educations in India, his father becoming an engineer in India, and then moved to the United States to become a patent attorney for General Electric. And his mother became a doctor in India and immigrated here to continue her profession. They settled in Cincinnati, Ohio. To hear Ramaswamy talk about Christianity, you would think he is one. He frequently talks about Judeo-Christian value, attended a Jesuit Catholic high school, and goes out of his way to mention his connections with conservative Christians. But he's a Hindu. Now, this is America, and there is nothing wrong with being of any faith, whether that be Christian, Muslim, Jewish, Shinto, Taoist, Hindu, or what have you. But Ramaswamy rarely speaks about his faith, Hinduism. Rather, he talks frequently about Christianity and Christian values. I don't know what that says about him, but I believe in being proud of who you are, the heritage in which your family raised you. Based on how little Ramaswamy talks about his faith, I'm not sure he believes in the same thing. Ramaswamy was valedictorian of his high school class, and then went on to attend Harvard, where he studied biology in his undergraduate years. Based on his undergraduate degree in biology, he calls himself to this day a scientist, even though it is widely accepted in the scientific community that to call yourself a scientist, you must have a doctorate in science. However, Ramaswamy continues to ignore that distinction and call himself a scientist. By all accounts, Ramaswamy did well in college. He graduated summa cum laude, having a GPA above a 3.9 and in the top 4 to 5% of his class. While there, he became a libertarian. Now, what is a libertarian exactly? Who knows? Libertarianism is sort of like hot sauce. It can be as mild or as spicy as you like it, but no one really knows where exactly the line is. All anybody knows about it is that if it's too strong, just like hot sauce, too much of it can put you into severe distress. Normally, libertarianism is defined as people who think the government should only be involved in providing a strong national defense and a legal system to enforce strong private property rights. Are we being invaded by aliens? Okay, the government can help. Are you trying to take my stuff? Well, the government can stop that too. But everything else is hands off. Basic healthcare, hands off. Public school, hands off. Regulation of the drugs that are sold in the pharmacy, hands off. Regulation of any drugs, hands off. Regulation of financial products, for example, the type that started the financial crisis, Hands off. Regulation of oil companies and how they can ship oil. For example, in East Palestine, Ohio, where an oil explosion burned down half of an entire town. Hands off. Someone poisoning the water supply. Hands off. Medicaid? Nope. Medicare? See Medicaid. Social Security? Don't make me laugh. So what, you're 87 years old? Good luck. Its basic philosophy is, unless we're invaded by foreigners or someone tries to use force to steal anything, anything goes. It's a philosophy that's favored among the rich and the powerful. For example, Peter Thiel, an early investor in SpaceX and Facebook, or those who inherited power, like Rand Paul. But as a philosophy, it would put the average person basically under extreme subservience to the rich and the powerful. This is Ramaswamy's political philosophy. Here's what Ramaswamy won't tell you about his past business and academic accomplishments. After graduating from Harvard with a degree in biology, he went on to work at a number of hedge funds and financial institutions, such as Goldman Sachs. Yeah, the Goldman Sachs that is largely held accountable for the financial crisis and the Wall Street bailouts? Yep, that Goldman Sachs. He then went on to receive scholarships from Paul and Daisy Soros. Yes, the Soros that Republicans hate? Yes, that Soros. The Soroses Republicans hate. He also sat on a COVID-19 response board for Ohio, which recommended masks and shutdowns, something that he now rails against regularly. Ramaswamy thought these two facts were so poisonous to his political career that he hired someone to have them removed from Wikipedia. Yeah, it's that bad. Through his hedge fund dealings, Ramaswamy was worth $15 million before he even went to law school. But he was just getting started. He attended Yale Law School, and before he even graduated, he got to work on his career. He'd have you believe that his business was making drugs as a scientist. But his real expertise, as I found through my research, was making deals, a lot of them unsavory. He started by creating an enterprise called the Campus Venture Network. It's basically Facebook for Ivy League students that want to become entrepreneurs. He sold it to the Ewing Marion Kaufman Foundations. Today it's called studentbusiness.com. This is its current website. He then went on to join a hedge fund, QVT Financial, where he was a partner and managed the firm's biotech investments. One of the firm's biotech investments? Retrofin. If you don't know the name Retrofin, maybe you know the name Martin Shkreli, the famous or rather infamous pharma bro. Do you know who his biggest investor was? QVT Financial's biotech arm, which was run by none other than Vivek Ramaswamy. When Ramaswamy was asked about his investment with Shkreli, he called Retrofin's boosting of the price of Daraprim, a drug that cost $13.50 a pill before Shkreli and $750 a pill after, a drug that treats a life-threatening parasitic infection for 2,000 people a year, a victimless crime. This drug price increase basically forces everyday people to trade all, and I do mean all, of their financial assets for their lives. And Ramaswamy was Retrofin's largest investor. He then went on to found Reovent. When pitching Reovent to prominent politicians on both sides of the aisle, like Kathleen Sebelius, a Democrat, who once ran the Health and Human Services Administration, and Senator Olympia Snowe, a Republican, he spoke about lowering drug prices and a new path to drug development that would allow wider access to inexpensive pharmaceuticals. But when pitching to investors, his tune changed entirely. And the clue is in the name of the drug. Most drug companies are named something esoteric like AstraZeneca. Who knows where the Astra or the Zeneca came from? And trust me, I tried to find out. Or they're named with Life Sciences at the end, like Gilead Life Sciences. These names are clearly either about science or life. Reovent is a bit different, however. To understand Reovent, Ramaswamy's company, all you have to understand is the first three letters ROI, which stand for return on investment. It's not about life, it's not about science, it's about return on investment, period. And that's just what he went about doing. He started by incorporating the company in Bermuda to avoid taxes. Next, he tapped his hedge fund connections to raise money. Finally, he went about buying patents that other drug companies had abandoned. He then created corporate subsidiaries, basically shell companies, that would remove liability from the parent company, Reovent. He held his stock in these shell companies through Reovent, but did not own shares in the companies outright. He then bought defunct patents that large pharmaceutical concerns couldn't make work. One of the first ones he bought was from GlaxoSmithKline, a very reputable drug company. This firm had an Alzheimer's drug it couldn't make work, as it had failed FDA trials 4 times. Ramaswamy bought this drug and created a shell company, Axovant. Immediately after this, he finagles his way onto the cover of Forbes magazine. He touts Reovent as the Berkshire Hathaway of drugs. Only one problem. Warren Buffett has a successful 75-year track record. Roy Vett hadn't even been around a full year yet, but why let that stop you? Before the Alzheimer's drug had even started a drug trial yet, Ramaswamy engineers an IPO, an initial public offering, for Axovet, the Roy Vett subsidiary holding the failed Alzheimer drugs. If this sounds like three-card Monty to you, it is. It's three-card Monty brought to you by Wall Street with the spin of an Ivy League pedigree. The long and short of it is that the IPO is a success. Ramaswamy raises $315 million and the company's IPO is $3 billion. Never mind at this point that the company only has 8 employees, 2 of which are his mother and his brother, both doctors. But still, I don't care if my mother is the Surgeon General. There's no way I'm roping her into some highly questionable dealings. The IPO turns out to be a success. Ramaswamy uses this hype to cash out, selling a piece of the parent company to Viking Global Investors, netting himself $37 million. I'm sure his family did okay as well. But then comes the downfall. The Alzheimer's drug fails. Turns out 8 people couldn't pull off what GlaxoSmithKline's 70,000 employees could. That day, the company lost 75% of its value. Ramaswamy insulated himself from his losses through legal hocus pocus. You know who lost money? Teachers. California Teachers Pension Fund lost 75% of their money, and I'm sure they're not the only retirement fund that lost money through Ramaswamy's science. But Ramaswamy had found a winning formula and went about repeating this formula 5 more times. He went on to create a SPAC. If SPAC sounds sort of like the sound phlegm makes when you spit it out, SPAC! You're right. A SPAC is basically an underhanded way to launch a company publicly without having to have pesky regulators and accountants look through your company's financials. Well, that's exactly what Ramaswamy did, and the financial alchemy made him hundreds of millions of dollars. Not one drug Roy Vett has created has ever come to market, and the company has never made a profit. Look, you can say what you want to say about Donald Trump, but I've been to Trump Tower. I used to work in the restaurant housed in Trump Tower on Columbus Circle. Now, while Donald Trump may not be everyone's favorite person in the world, I can tell you from personal experience that his buildings are real. There are people that live in them. The restaurants they house and the rent they pay him is real. The food is real. The tables are real. The customers are real. I've seen them. It's all real. Everything that Vivek Ramaswamy has created, from what I can see, is all fake. He's never created one drug, and while Roy Vett was under his control, it has never created anything but value for Ramaswamy. So who is Vivek Ramaswamy? From my research, and I don't say this lightly, he's basically a snake oil salesman with a couple of fancy degrees. He's a fast-talking Wall Street financier who's hoping the American people aren't listening closely enough, won't do any research, and are basically dumb enough that we won't look carefully enough to see that he's never had any real accomplishments outside of academia except enriching himself and his other hedge fund buddies. So who is Vivek Ramaswamy? He's a wannabe emperor, a fast-talking lawyer that wants to be emperor. The only problem? This emperor has no clothes. Hey, if you like this video, please like and subscribe. Look forward to bringing you more holistic truth, deeply researched truth, so that you can really know what's going on. So please hit that like button. Please subscribe so that I can keep doing these videos. Take care, and God bless.